Yes. So let's start with today's question, because this one was posed to me at a dinner table and I was forced to answer it right then and there. And I was heated when I answered it. But let me tell you, I don't think it's a heated question. I think it's just a loaded question. It opens you up to the reality of your current state and what your life could have been, right? And the question is this: do you think your life would have been better if you had remained in your respective countries? For those of us whose parents moved or we moved, do you think our lives are better now? Or do you think it would have been even better if we had remained in our respective country? I'm going to be attempting to answer that question using my own personal experiences and the global issues that I see today. Stay tuned. We'll be right back. So, sometime in 2022, it was 2022, I had paid a visit to Italy. It was the first time traveling outside of the country, and I was using the restaurant in one of the bus stations in Italy. It's called Italiano. Hey, I remember the name. So I was using the restroom at Italiano on my way to another city, and I had stopped at a McDonald's. It's just like a Greyhound or a bus station. And I stopped at a McDonald's and I met this man who was cleaning the bathroom. So I don't mean maintenance who kind of go around with their brooms, right? This person was standing next to the bathroom. So when a customer gets out of a store, the man goes in and clean up after the customer. So he was doing this for every customer that went into a store in the bathroom. And I was waiting in queue. I used the restroom. Then I began to speak to this guy because obviously he looks so much like my uncle. He looks so much like my father. He looks like me. He's an African guy. And he said to me he's from Senegal. And I said I'm Nigerian. And then all of a sudden we started this conversation that we're having, that we're about to have right now. This is the work I do, he said to me. And, I send money home to my family, and they probably don't even know the type of work I do in Italy. Italy to me is the most racist country there is. It's the place I've been that I felt so discriminated against. I came back cursing like a storm. I do not curse, but I came back insulting everything because I was so fed up with the way I was treated. So I cannot imagine the kind of life Africans live in Italy. I refuse to imagine that because it would destroy my inside. So and it also has the highest rate, or one of the highest rates of migrants, and it dawned on me because you start to look at these type of work that we do outside of the country and wonder if it's worth it. My father left to the US 27 or 28 years ago, right? And because he left, I personally feel my life is better, right? Simply because when I was in Nigeria, I had there was no prospects for me. The prospect looked so dull. I was a kid with sight issue, couldn't see well in school, failing all my classes, being beaten repeatedly because people were forcing me to do things or see when I couldn't see. I had failed several times to the point where my mother would even bribe the teachers to take me to the next grade. I would get to the next grade and I'm still dumb, again, because it was a sight issue. At the age of 8, I stopped going to school completely because, again, I had failed so much that I was a basket case. So my mother said, just stay home. At the age of 12, I returned back to school. It was the same issue. But when I came to the US at 14, I realized that it was a second chance. It was my second chance at life. I can't speak for my siblings. I can't speak for my parents. But for me, personally, it was my second chance at life. So every migrant, every person who is deciding to leave their respective country, it is because they are looking for that second chance at life. The guy whom I met at the toilet, cleaning toilet in Italy, it was his second chance at life because the reality at home seems to be at least that's what he's saying, at least that's what he's thinking, right? It seems to be in a dire state that he had to just leave. And I'm going to give you some statistics, right? Or a particular story that I read as I was putting together this content. So a boat in 2023 capsized that was carrying over 2,000 people. To this day, we don't know where that boat is. Nobody have found the boat, and nobody know where those people had gone. And these were migrants that were leaving from Africa to Europe. There was another story of 41 people on the boat, right? Out of the 41 people, only 4 people survived, right? And again, these people were leaving from Africa to Europe. In that particular article that I just shared with you, a man who was fleeing from war in Sudan. If you don't know Sudan's story, you have to read about it. Sudan has a long history of war. South Sudan, the country, they're just going through hell in that country, right? Things are getting better. We hope that it will get better, but there be people who are fleeing because they're again looking for that second chance at life. And in this article, this guy said, I have seen war, and I have seen what war can do to a person. If I survived war, I'll be able to survive this perilous journey across the sea, because again, it goes back to I'm looking for that second chance at life, right? So people are dying on a regular basis, on a daily basis, when they do make this decision, right? And that's why the question was posed at that dinner table. Is my life better, live in our respective country? Would our life had been even better if we had remained in our respective country? And I'm curious to know what you think about this. For those of us who are still in the country, and for those of us who are outside of the country, using all the data that surrounds you today. Like when I look at my childhood experiences, and I look at my friends who I had gone to school with, right? The ones who finally were able to stay in Nigeria onto a university level. Where are they now? All of them have left the country. They've left that street. The street is a stranger to me because it's strange to me because I don't know any person who's there. Most of my childhood friends have left. Again, it's because of that second chance at life. Currently, there's a policy that's being written. I don't know if it's signed into law, but there's a policy that the UK is trying to put together or has put together. It's called the Rwandan plan, or the Rwanda plan, and basically the UK is sending migrants, right, from the UK, illegal migrants or migrants who've committed some kind of broken some kind of law. They're sending these people back to Rwanda, and having them stay there. We don't know what the deal is with that, but I remember just kind of glancing through that, and I said to myself, man, this is a serious case. My immigration is a serious problem, and it's a global issue because it's affecting every person in every country. You can't meet a family who hasn't left, It's a very hard thing, to know that you're departing from your entire family and you may not ever see them again. It's a very hard thing. And I don't think we think like that. I think we just make that initial step because, again, we believe in our hearts that the life that is outside of where we are is better. I'm curious to hear your opinion. I was going to give you a very personal story. When one of my uncles left to Italy, he studied, I don't know, Italy or Spain. I haven't seen him. And he left when I was around 8 years old. I haven't seen this man. It's over 21 years now. And I have not seen him. Not that I can't see him now, I can't see him now, but just the thought of not seeing him for that long, or him making that type of scary journey, and then that was the end of his lives. These are serious issues. It's a global issue. It's a personal issue, and that's why I am thinking that posing it to you today would at least begin to generate a serious conversation surrounding this subject matter. Do you think your life would have been better if you had remained in your respective countries? Do you think your life is better now, even after you've decided to leave? And for those of us who are still in Africa, is your life better while you're there? Now that you're there, or the fact that you don't have any opportunity to leave, or rather you choose to stay, whichever the question is, whichever your situation is. But I'm curious to hear what you think all. Thank you all for joining me. Again, my name is Imoitinya, and this is a channel where we talk about all things Africa, and the title of my show is called All About Africa. I hope to see you again soon. Again, Happy New Year's to you and your family for sure. Stay tuned for great stuff.